You ever get the feeling your life's about to become a reality show, but nobody warned you about the cameras? Picture this. I'm covered head to toe in cement dust, standing on my front lawn, and Karen, the queen bee of our HOA, sun visor, clipboard, and all, is shrieking at me from the edge of my freshly paved sidewalk. "You're breaking HOA regulations, sir. I'm calling the cops right now." And the wild part? That chunk of sidewalk she was screaming about wasn't even HOA property. Yeah, that's how this whole circus kicked off. But back then, I didn't know any of that. I just saw Karen, her phone raised like the sword of justice, yelling for the whole street to hear, making it sound like I'd personally bulldozed the Washington Monument. Within minutes, 2 squad cars rolled up, sirens blazing. I glanced down at my hands, shaking, still crusted with concrete, and tried not to freak out. My neighbors were peeking from behind curtains, a few brave souls filming on their phones. And right as one officer stepped forward, Karen already gearing up to go full courtroom drama. Well, let's just say that was the moment everything changed for good. Hang tight. I'll circle back to that chaos in a second. Let me back up a sec. My name's Mark, and 2 months before the sirens, I moved into Sunnyvale Oaks. After a decade of city noise and neighbor drama that usually ended with someone calling animal control over a barking dog, I just wanted some peace and quiet. I bought a small corner house with a sidewalk out front so cracked and warped it looked like the aftermath of a minor earthquake. Kids tripped on it, mail carriers cursed it, and every time it rained, it turned into a mud pit straight out of a bad horror movie. One afternoon, I watched Eddie, the little guy from next door, take a nasty spill on his scooter. His mom screamed and ran out. I scooped him up, blood dripping down his knees, and helped her carry him inside. That was the last straw for me. Enough, I told myself. I'm fixing that sidewalk. I try to play nice. Shot an email to the HOA. Here's my plan. I'll pay for it. Here's pictures. I even offered to use their approved beige color. No reply. A week later, I got this chilly 2-sentence note. Sidewalk maintenance falls under HOA supervision. You're not authorized to make any changes to it. Not even a thank for your concern. Just pure nope. But the longer I lived here, the more I realized this HOA wasn't about making the neighborhood better. It was about control. Karen treated every line in the rule book like gospel. 2-inch grass mats, trash cans on the curb by 7 a.m. Sharp, mailbox had to be the exact shade of bureaucrat beige. Still, I tried to be a good neighbor. I waited. But another month went by. The sidewalk got worse, and when I saw an old man almost eat pavement on my corner, I snapped. That Saturday, I hit the hardware store, bought everything I needed, cement, forms, and neon yellow safety vest, so I looked official, and started work at dawn. Birds singing, air crisp, neighbors actually waving and saying finally as I dug up the cracked concrete. Eddie rolled by on his scooter and grinned. "Thanks, mister." "Mark, that made my day." Cue the click of angry heels on concrete. Karen, radiating righteous fury, stomped up with her phone recording, and her eyes narrowed like she just caught me painting her fence neon green. "Excuse me, sir," she snapped. "What do you think you're doing?" I kept my cool. "Just fixing the sidewalk. It's dangerous. Kids have been getting hurt." You'd have thought I'd confessed to grand larceny. That sidewalk belongs to the HOA. You can't do anything without written permission. I explained about the email, the silence, the growing list of injuries. She cut me off. "You're breaking the rules, and there will be consequences." She stormed off, phone glued to her ear, and I thought, she's bluffing. 10 minutes later, sirens. Now, let's jump back. Here's where it gets real. 2 police cars, lights flashing. Half the block's watching, a few neighbors muttering about how the HOA treats this place like a prison. Karen marches up to the officers as if she's their boss. "Officers, thank you for coming. This man is illegally altering HOA property." One officer, kind eyes, turns to me. "Sir, what's going on?" So I lay it all out. Sidewalk's a hazard. I tried for months to get approval. No response. I'm paying for it myself. He looks at my emails, nods, and asks the million-dollar question. "Do you have paperwork showing you own this sidewalk?" Karen pounces, "Of course not. HOA controls all sidewalks." But the cop holds up a hand and says, "Ma'am, Maintaining something and owning it aren't always the same thing. Right then, his radio crackles. The other officer, talking to dispatch, asked for the city's property records. You could see Karen's confidence crack. The crowd went dead silent. The officer looks at me, almost grinning, and says, "Looks like this sidewalk might not actually belong to the HOA." The whole block sucks in a breath. City zoning confirms it. That stretch of sidewalk, from my mailbox to the corner, is municipal property. Karen looks like someone just unplugged her. She tries to argue, says they've planted flowers there for years, but the officer calmly points out, "Then you've been beautifying city property." Ouch! The crowd laughs. Someone shouts, "Told you so." Even James, my neighbor, gives me a high five. The officer turns to me. "You're not in any trouble. You were within your rights to improve public property, as long as it's safe and accessible." Nice work. I nearly melted with relief. Karen? She was turning purple, flipping through her binder, muttering about bylaws, but she finally stomped off, high heels clicking like a gavel. And then, my favorite part, people started clapping. First James, then the whole block. I try not to tear up. It felt good. But if you think Karen was done, you've never met an HOA Karen before. That evening, I spotted her and her henchman, Paul, the treasurer, and Linda, the secretary, going door to door, handing out violation notices. When they got to James, he shut the door in her face. When they reached my place, Karen glared at my new sidewalk like it personally offended her. "The board has decided to fine you $500 for unauthorized alterations." I laughed in her face. "You can't fine me for fixing something that's not even your property." She smirked, slapped an envelope on my mailbox, and marched away. Inside, immediate action required. Violation of community aesthetics. A day later, I get an email. Failure to pay will result in further penalties, potential liens, and loss of community privileges. Suddenly, it wasn't funny anymore. Karen lost the property battle, but now she wanted to win the paperwork war. But I learned something by then. Bullies only have power if you let them scare you. So I decided, okay, let's do this by the book. I started digging into HOA records, pulled every county property map I could find, even talked to the city about their legal responsibilities. And then, here's the twist, Paul, the treasurer, shows up at the next HOA meeting and drops a bomb. "We need to review the HOA's financial records," he says. Karen's jaw drops. "Paul, don't you dare." But he does. Turns out, a bunch of beautification funds, tens of thousands in dues, were paid to a landscaping company owned by Karen's brother-in-law. Even worse, they've been using HOA funds to maintain city property for years, stuff the association never even owned. The room erupted. People demanded answers. Linda, the secretary, looked betrayed. "Karen, you told me those were approved." James, arms folded, said, "We're done with your secret meetings. Open the books." When Karen tried to shut everyone down, Paul pulled out invoices, city maps, everything. The room exploded. Yelling boos, people chanting, "Open the records." Karen tried to play the victim, but it was over. Paul called for a third-party audit. Karen tried to refuse, but the crowd wasn't on her side anymore. That night, the neighborhood felt different, lighter, like a storm had finally blown through. I watched from my porch as Karen's silver SUV crept past, headlights off, just a shadow in the dark. She wasn't finished. Deep down, I knew it, but something in her power broke that day. From there, things got weird. Vandalism, threatening notes, my sidewalk spray-painted with illegal work. Remove this now. Middle of the night, Mrs. Alvarez calls, "Someone's outside, Daniel." I think it's Karen. I catch her, red blazer, binder in hand, literally scraping at the sidewalk with a metal rod, planting nails to make it look like I damaged city property. She tries to gaslight me. "You think you've won, but people like you don't belong here." I snap a photo. She freaks. Hannah, my wife, calls the cops. Karen tears off in the night, but the next morning, another threatening note shows up. "Back off, or you'll be next." Spray paint's still wet. In the background of the photo, the edge of her infamous red blazer. Things escalate until one night, my mailbox, the same one she claimed violated HOA rules, goes up in flames. I catch her on camera, pouring gasoline, match trembling in her hand. The fire blazes, sirens scream, cops tackle her on the spot. She's arrested for arson, trespassing, and property destruction. The next HOA meeting, without Karen, feels like a new world. The board admits, on record, that the sidewalk and mailbox were never under HOA control. Karen is permanently removed, pending charges and a psych evaluation. Neighbors apologize, some embarrassed, most just relieved. The block feels lighter. Kids ride their bikes across my new sidewalk, Mrs. Alvarez brings me muffins. One day, I get a handwritten letter. Daniel, I'm sorry. I lost myself. You didn't deserve any of it. I hope you can forgive me one day. Karen, I don't know if forgiveness is that simple. But I do know this. Sometimes, standing up for yourself isn't about revenge. It's about reminding everyone what real community looks like. Kindness isn't weakness. Sometimes it means saying enough, even if you're scared. And as the moon rises and the neighborhood settles, I find myself wondering, what would you do if your HOA tried to bully you off your own sidewalk? Where are you watching from tonight? Drop your story in the comments. Let's talk about what real justice means and how far you'd go to defend your home.